Hi, I'm Phil,
I'm Nick.
and this is Comic Car Talk, where me and probably someone else, if they want to join me, we talk about comics, review them in a car. I know, how original, right? Anyway, for our first video, we're going to be talking about, hold it up,
Avengers. Free Comic Book Day Avengers.
Free Comic Book Day Avengers, and
Captain America.
Captain America! America! Yeah! Coming again to save the day, yeah, America! Anyway, okay, that's enough of that right there from me. So yeah, let's talk about the Avengers. So this is supposed to be a prelude to Jason Aaron's run on the Avengers.
Called A Million Years in the Making.
Yeah, because apparently from, I guess, that Marvel Legacy issue, I haven't read it. Apparently it's dealing with stuff that happened 1 million years ago, and a bunch of prehistoric versions, ancient versions of the Avengers, the first Avengers team, apparently.
First Avengers, apparently.
Yeah, they gathered together to fight a Celestial, and they killed it.
There it is.
Yeah. And this old Avengers team consisted of Odin, a Black Panther, the Phoenix, a Sorcerer Supreme, I'm guessing a Hulk-type character?
Sorta, something like that.
Possibly a Ghost Rider, maybe an Iron Fist.
It's all very unclear.
Yeah.
About whose role is what. The only really clear thing we get is there was a Black Panther and there was Odin. Like, those are the only really clear-cut things we get
again,
there.
Neither of us have read the Marvel Legacy #1, so we're not entirely sure what the story was in that.
For these two comics, we are coming from a more distant standpoint.
Yeah.
However, I think that's a good thing, because the whole point of Free Comic Book Day for these companies, especially like someone big like Marvel, is to try and catch somebody who doesn't know what's going on or hasn't been introduced in this universe yet. So we have tertiary knowledge and pre-knowledge of, Avengers and Captain America and all that stuff. But we haven't been caught up, so I think we're at a pretty good angle for kind of reviewing this for, who they're trying to catch. Yeah.
The last comic that I've ever seen do something like this, especially a Free Comic Book Day one, was more than a decade ago. They were DC launched a new Justice League of America series, and even that sort of followed a similar format to this, focusing on the big three heroes. In Justice League's case, it was Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, and whatever members that followed with them. And with the Avengers, it's Captain America, Iron Man, and Thor. Mm-hmm. And, they've all gone through stuff, and now they're kind of back together, and basically it's getting the band back together with some new members.
Yeah. And as Phil mentioned, the story mostly concerns these quote-unquote original Avengers, which just seems cheap.
I mean, it's a superhero comic. It's going to have weird stuff in it,
I guess.
And as far as the writing is concerned, it's pretty good. There's weight, there's stakes. It sets up the stage for what Jason Aaron is going to be doing with this.
And see, this is where we disagree, because the villain here is set up to be Loki yet again.
Or the Celestial. I mean, Loki here is just being a trickster here who just awakened a Celestial.
He did, but it also seems like the whole point is, we need to get rid of Loki. And from my point of view, I've read the entirety of Fear itself. Go me, I deserve a medal. But, this just stinks of Fear itself. Because the whole point of Fear itself was, yet again, this is Odin's fault, which it is. It's this thing that came from a long time ago to exact revenge. We're doing that again. It's going to destroy, Asgard and Midgard and everyone else, which Fear itself, giant snake monster, was supposed to do. Loki is directly involved, and it's very stuck with Loki, which Fear itself was. We need to bring in outside forces. Same thing, again. The one thing is the Celestials, but again, Marvel's been kind of, hard on the Celestials recently because, we've obviously been dealing with Doomworld and stuff like that, and the whole point of Doomworld was we started it with, more Celestial stuff. I don't know.
I mean, I haven't read an Avengers comic for the past couple years. Last Avengers comic I did read was by Bendis, and I was okay. I didn't read much of his new Avengers stuff, or the only Avengers stuff that I did read of his was Dark Avengers, and Avengers Assemble. And each of them was good in their own right. I'm excited to see what Jason Aaron does here. Probably my favorite part of this comic was Black Panther and Odin talking to each other.
That was neat.
Like, okay, Odin calls up Black Panther because of this threat, and Black Panther's like, "Yo, man, I got stuff of my own I gotta do. So what do you want from me?"
Yeah.
And Odin's like, "Well, I done screwed up
Again.
so I need you to, I don't know, do something, help me out with this." And Black Panther's like, "I ain't your errand boy."
I don't have time for this.
Like, I mean, I punched Mephisto in the face. Do you think I'm really gonna take crap from you? I don't care if you're the All-Father or the No-Father or what. I don't take crap from anyone.
It's a good setup for Black Panther.
I mean, at least in this Avengers team book. I don't know how this figures into his solo series.
And I feel it's
if it does at all.
It's also a pretty good setup for the series as a whole, I think, for what they're doing. I think if you just ignore these pages, it's pretty good. Because this last part with Odin talking and him being like, "Oh, I know some rather impressive fools," to try and save the world, essentially. So he's gonna go find, obviously the rest of the Avengers. And so then we cut to this silly scene of Valhalla's bar, which is great.
Yeah.
And this cool scene of Cap's shield and Thor's hammer. They see that, which is pretty neat.
And Thor's hammer's now gold, and he's got a golden arm.
Right, and then following that, we see them kind of doing this kind of cool little thing in the bar, and then, bam, we get this huge, really cool, team shot, which is pretty cool. Yeah. And that's a good setup. Unfortunately, the rest of the comics is kind of crap, in my opinion.
I mean, the artwork is okay.
It's mediocre at best.
I mean,
I'm not impressed.
I mean, Sarah Pichelli does better when it's about young teenage superheroes, like what she did when she worked on Ultimate Spider-Man, the Miles Morales version. That was great. I mean, when she does adult superheroes, it's hit or miss. I mean, and she's not. So far as I know, I don't think she's gonna be the main artist for this book. It's gonna be Ed McGuinness, who seems like a much more fitting artist for this type of series. Mm-hmm. I like the lineup for it. You got Captain America, Thor, and Iron Man. I mean, classic Avengers. Then you got Carol Danvers as Captain Marvel, Black Panther, Doctor Strange, She-Hulk, and the Robbie Reyes Ghost Rider.
It's not a bad lineup.
I mean, it's not a bad lineup. It's classic yet updated.
Sure.
I mean, and all of these characters are popular or great heroes, great characters in their own right. So, I mean, I'm kind of excited. This gets me interested. I want to see what Jason Aaron does. I mean, we don't know if it's going to be good. We don't know if it's going to be bad. I mean, I've read a bunch of his stuff, and he does great. He does great character work. I mean, Wolverine. I heard his Thor run is good. I like Scalped. The parts of it that I did read anyway. He's pretty good where it counts. So I'm excited to see what he does with it. Though I understand that the Avengers and all these other big superhero teams, they've always had different lineups. But the one thing that kind of irks me a bit is that, okay, it's going for a classic yet updated feel. If they were going to go with the classical angle, why not bring in some of the old members, like some of the original founding members? Like Hulk, the Janet Van Dyne Wasp, and Hank Pym. And I know that there's story reasons why they're not there. Hulk is kinda, sorta dead. I mean, he's coming back, but okay. Hank Pym, he's Ultron now. Yeah, comics are weird.
Ridiculous.
And you got... And Janet Van Dyne. Where is Janet? Seriously. Damn it, Janet! I love you. Rocky Horror reference, of course. I mean, the only... I don't know where the heck Janet's been. I mean, I think she's been in a couple books here and there, but she hasn't had a major role lately. Like, she was dead after Secret Invasion. She was dead for a couple years, and then they brought her back, and now it's like, where is she? And the only person who's been Wasp is Nadia Pym. Basically, Marvel Comics, they want to be more like the movies. So instead of, I don't know, instead of doing something different, they instead decide to try to follow the movies because, you know, Hope Pym was popular. You know, I guess people liked the Hope Pym character in the Ant-Man movie, and they decide to make a comic version of her, I guess, or something resembling her.
They definitely get their movies and their comics tied up too much, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the comics and the movies, it's fine if they borrow elements from each other at times, but they just should not so closely resemble each other.
Especially considering the fact that Marvel went out of their way to say that this is their cinematic universe, therefore a separate universe. Like,
yeah, it's separate. You can have similar elements, you can have similarities, but you don't have to make them the same. The comics should not, again, the comics should not resemble the movies so much. You can take aesthetic elements, you can take some visual similarities, but don't be so beholden to the movies. Yeah. They're both different mediums. You have different liberties of what you can do.
And as a last note, I just want to touch on the art a bit. As I mentioned, I'm not real impressed with it. However, I do like the fact that I think Sarah Pichelli's pretty good at drawing her eye. Not all the time. She's not great at it. But when she does it well, she does it really well. A great example of that is later on when it's like, oh, we've been talking up this scary thing that Loki has, and oh, look, there's its, frickin' fist just showing up out of nowhere. Which is cool because the rest of the comic is, conversely, really kind of dark, and it doesn't have a heck of a lot of colors going on. This is pretty much most of the comic right here.
Yeah, it looks mundane for the most part.
Yeah, but I mean, it's supposed to evoke, the ruins and everything shattered. That's fine.
Yeah.
And so, the big, colorful hand coming down is a nice thing. So that's just the last thing I wanted to mention, but I guess we should move on to Captain America.
Yeah, Captain America, the one that, oh boy, I bet you as soon as I put the video up and people get to this part and get to the 12, 40-ish, 50-ish mark, I guess. At least that's what the camera's telling me.
Anyway,
whatever. Yeah, now we're going to be talking about Captain America, and this is something that a bunch of people get riled up about because it's because of the writer, Ta-Nehisi Coates. I see videos and articles saying Ta-Nehisi Coates is a terrible choice for Captain America, or Ta-Nehisi Coates is going to ruin Captain America. Okay, you have a right to your opinion on that, but I don't think he's going to ruin Captain America, necessarily. I mean,
people have taken steps to try, after all.
Yeah. The character's been around for 70 plus years, and he's had so many different iterations, so many different takes, in so many different forms, having highs and lows. I mean, really, the guy is just the latest person to do Captain America. So, I don't know.
That being said, I'm not impressed with the comic.
Yeah.
Conversely, I'm impressed with the art style. I think the art style is really good.
Lionel Francis Yu does really great. I love how he mixes the square jawness of superheroes with some modern gritty realism, I guess, depending on which comic he's doing.
It's definitely very clear where your eye is supposed to go in each of these panels. This is a great example, with Captain America up here and all the people down there, and it's a good eye draw, and it's really great. The washed out colors of just this kind of crazy, weird, desperate tone really works well.
The shades definitely
add
to that effect.
And it's pretty cool. I think it's kind of a mess of a story, frankly. The idea of this kind of underground thing is cool, but it has a Hydra feel to it, which I don't know if they're going for, but that's the feel I get.
I mean, the woman is talking I mean, as far as her narration is concerned, she's talking in green caption boxes, which makes me think either she's Hydra or just something else entirely. So it's not quite made clear what this is, but still, and it's just getting tiring.
It's odd.
I mean, no, because everything has to be connected with Hydra now.
No, I know.
Everything.
I'm just saying the choices are odd. Like their choices for this comic are odd.
Like, why not have a different villain group? Like, there's so many different villain groups. I mean, yes, Captain America has fought against Hydra, but he's also fought against the Serpent Society and AIM and a whole bunch of other villain groups. Why does it always have to go back on Hydra? Again, this is like another issue where trying to tie in with the MCU because everything has to be Hydra or whatever. Yeah. You know what's funny? Both G.I. Joe and Marvel have villain groups whose chant is Hail insert group name here.
Pretty much. With
Cobra, it's Hail Cobra. Hydra, it's Hail Hydra.
Sure.
So...
And, I don't know. I'm hit or miss in the story here. The whole idea is this random lady is like making clones of this guy.
Nuke.
Yeah, there he is. He's like kind of a really sort of unknown Captain America bad guy.
Well, he's also fought against Daredevil and Wolverine because Nuke is from the same program that created Cap and Wolverine and all the other Weapon Plus experiments.
They're definitely trying to pull from somewhere else, and she's going to make clones of these guys.
Yeah.
And I think the last shot's a good one, admittedly. Of like, okay, so here's these guys that are supposed to be sort of representing the idea of, oh, you know, after all this stuff that's going down and everyone's paying attention to this, and you know, America's not good anymore, and everything's divided, and there's these problems, and there's like all this stuff of, you know, issues, and nothing's good. And like, it's like everyone's forgotten about like our soldiers and the sacrifices and stuff. And I think it's not a bad message. And I think throwing it at Captain America is interesting because then at the last shot, it's like, okay, there's these bad guys and here's Captain America. And, you know, he's always been really connected with, okay, I stick with, you know, American values. But, you know, as we've seen in other comics, like for instance, Civil War, which was in my opinion, terrible.
I liked it.
I hated
it. Hell, it was what got me into reading more Marvel comics as they came along. Like I like comics casually before, but Civil War and Sinestro Corps War really sucked me into it.
The point I'm trying to make here is that when that came out, everyone opposed Captain America was the quote-unquote bad guy / good guy because it was like, oh, you're not signing the thing going along with it. And, you know, he held his ground and was like, no, you know, I've done enough for this country. These heroes have done enough for this country. And this is like, and he's, you know, of course, he's been in World War II and all this junk. So now it's like, oh, yeah, now he is being faced with this and it's like, what do I do? Yeah. So that's kind of cool. But the rest of it's kind of junk, honestly.
I mean, the story is oddly paced, but then again, it is a short story, so...
It's supposed to be a prologue.
Yeah, it's a prologue to his run.
Called We Who Love America.
Yeah, so again, if you don't like Ta-Nehisi Coates or
you're gonna like him less from this,
or his views or whatever, you might, again, you might like him less for this. But if you don't really care about that, and you just want to see Captain America kicking ass and taking names, I guess this is up your alley. I don't know. I mean, again, Captain America's been around for so long. He's had so many different writers and artists, and there have been worse things that have been done to Captain America than whatever people think Coates is going to do with him. I mean, we've had the Red Brown Captain America movies with that stupid motorcycle helmet and that flimsy Frisbee shield. We had that 1990 movie starring, you know, Salinger's son or grandson, the guy who wrote Catcher in the Rye, his descendant played Captain America, and that was corny as hell. Well, stupid, really, but... And we had Rob Liefeld do Captain America in the 90s for Heroes Reborn, and how he looked more roided out than ever. Like his chest was really all puffed out and everything. Like, what is this guy snacking on? What drugs is he taking? I get it. He gets his powers from steroids, but do you have to make it that obvious?
Point is, worse things have potentially happened. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we had Hydra Cap last year.
However, I don't see this heading in a great direction because in my personal opinion, through reading from this, besides the one message I get from this, other than, oh, this is, you know, maybe potentially cool, we could get Captain America to be in this moral situation, is pay attention to me. That's the message I get from this comic. Pay attention to me, because oh my gosh, come on, calm down.
I mean,
there's only so much that screaming current issues into the wind's gonna do for you. And honestly, the way it's written, I feel like it'd be more at home coming like post Dark Knight, with the Joker being like, oh, when soldiers die in the Middle East, it's par for the course. No one gets upset, and this would be great as a commentary on that. And that the chance is long past.
At least they got Captain America in his classic look again.
I'll give you that. Yes.
I mean, because if there's one thing. Sorry, we heard some noises outside. So, if there's one thing I have not liked that they have been doing with Captain America, aside from maybe a couple of things in the past couple years, is that they decided to make him look more the regular Cap, the Marvel 616 version. They started making him look more like his Ultimate or MCU versions. They dropped the wingtips and the mask and the, what do you call that around his chest, like feathers or pellets or something?
I don't know.
It like, sort of looks like
armor. It's armor.
It's armor, but it's kind of like feathered. You know what I mean?
It's like what do you call it? Scales.
Scales. They got rid of the scales and decided to make him look more, again, like his Ultimate or MCU versions. Gritty, realist, like a soldier or something, because he's the soldier. But this just makes him look... I mean, again, the comics and movies should not follow each other so closely. I get it. You want to attract the movie audiences to the comics, in case, oh, hey, that movie's good. I like that. I want to see where this came from. Like, I want to read the comics of which this came from. That's fine. But don't try to adhere so closely to it. That's all I'm saying. I mean, they should be distinct from each other.
Should more be like, if you're going to the comics from the movies, you should be going to the comics to like learn more about the characters, see where they came from, maybe not see more of the movie story. Unless it's a movie tie-in comic, but that's totally different.
Yeah. I mean, again, at least they brought the wingtips look back, because that is something. I mean, and I know that there's other reasons why they did changes with some of these characters, like the Kirby estate lawsuits and all that.
Oh, geez, yeah.
Yeah, so that was why Sam Wilson became Captain America. That was why Jane Foster became Thor. That was why Amadeus Cho became Hulk. That was why Riri Williams became Ironheart. And yet she starred in a book called Invincible Iron Man. Just call it Ironheart. But still, I'm glad that these characters are sort of getting back to their more classic looks. I mean, it's fine to have them updated. I'm okay with that. Just make sure you don't go too outside the box, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, but okay, as far as recommendations are concerned, I mean, these came out on Free Comic Book Day. Mm-hmm. They were for free, so you could choose whether you want to get them or not. But as far as recommending them on their own, I mean, I like the Avengers story. It seemed interesting. I wouldn't mind seeing what comes if I decide to pick it up. So, and Jason Aaron's a good writer.
As a whole, I'm not a huge fan. I mean, it's Free Comic Book Day. There's some interesting art, but as a whole, I don't think it's too great.
Yeah, and as far as the Captain America story is concerned,
I mean, as a whole.
Oh, I mean, I thought we were. I mean, because it's a 2-in-1 thing.
Oh yeah, it is. I just meant for both as a whole.
Oh, I mean, the Captain America story. I mean, again, writing's iffy for me. It gets a bit too preachy. But yeah, but the art is solid.
Yeah.
Lionel Yu knows his stuff. He's a good artist for it, and I don't know, maybe depending on the feedback this gets, maybe Coates will try to tone it down a bit or go in a different direction. I mean, I'm interested to see what he does. I don't think he's going to be the worst person to ever do Captain America. I mean, heck, we almost got an even worse choice at one point, Frank Miller.
Oh my, yes.
Yeah, Frank Miller wanted to do Captain America. I mean, if people think Coates is bad, I mean, I shudder at what Frank Miller would do.
Never know.
Well, so yeah, for me, these were decent.
Okay. So just okay.
Yeah.
Not great.
I mean, well, yeah, I mean, that's my take on it. But I mean, yeah. So, Yeah, that's our opinion on Avengers / Captain America Free Comic Book Day 2018.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm Phil.
I'm Nick.
Talk to you later.